Hey y'all, it is your favorite nerdy girl here, Nerdy Girl Reviews. And in case you don't know my name, it's Ross Barron. Now, we are back with another recap for this 2022 and just in time for the Valentine's Day season. Also, before we start, check out my background. It's new, Nerdy Girl Reviews. Anywho, we are reviewing Pam and Tommy, currently streaming on Hulu. If you would like to hear and see my full commentary, keep me locked here on YouTube. If you're watching this on Instagram, click the link in bio. If you're watching this on IG Stories, click on the link and I'll link you back to my YouTube channel. And if you'd like to see my other recaps, you can catch me on sofritoforyoursoul.com. Stay tuned, y'all. Now, I think I'm doing my best homage to the lovely, ever gorgeous Pamela Anderson. I even blacked out my eyebrows to do that very pencil thin eyebrow thing that she's always had going on. I think to this day she still rocks her eyebrows that way. She's never done the Kim Kardashian big block thing, which not nothing I applaud her for that because, you know, she doesn't fall into trends. But yes, y'all, I have changed my background. Hold on, I need to put on a little bit more lights. Hold on. Gotta use all my props, honey. So from my 5 and below, give it a little bit of love. And yes, if I look semi-familiar, I'm kind of wearing something similar to what she had in her barbed wire movie poster from back in the day. It's more of a corset, but again, we work with what we got. We work with our elements. Not for nothing, I am on the hunt for that traditional red bathing suit that she made famous on her show Baywatch back in the 90s. But yeah, no, I think I did a decent job. You know, leave me a comment down below. Do I look like Pam Anderson, Tommy? I think I did her justice, okay? The barbed wire, the Tommy tattoo, and fake wedding ring. Come on. Anyway, nonetheless, let's get into the review for this new Pam and Tommy Hulu series. Let me just begin by saying I am enamored with this show. The creator for this show, let me look briefly. Hold on a second. Hold on. I see showrunner here, Robert Siegel, and has worked on a number of other films. I don't know if it's the same creator and director for I, Tonya, but that's what I've heard online, that the creators for this show were the filmmakers for I, Tonya, which is another film I do recommend that you watch on Hulu. I think it just revisits these very infamous cases that became very public, and for me, very much kind of like how I've mentioned on my channel before, it gives a different spin. It gives a more full-fledged perspective on things that we thought were just black and white, right? Like Cruella, and I call it the Wicked effect, right? The show Wicked effect from Broadway, that gives you a different perspective. Or the Cobra Kai, right? Because we had always assumed that the Karate Kid was Ralph Macchio. The villain is, you know, William Zabka's Johnny Lawrence. But with Cobra Kai, we have a more full-fledged characterization of all characters. It's not just, you know, that the villains stay the villains and the good guys remain the good guys. If anything, we have more of a gray. And we had that with I, Tonya, which, not for nothing, it was a really, really awesome movie. And I understand why it won Oscars for that particular film. So it's the same approach with this particular show. This show gives a different perspective. Like I mentioned in my other reviews, like as I was closing out, I was very much anticipating this show. that me, like a number of other people, and I'm sure worldwide, we were all under the assumption that both Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee released that video, that very infamous video of an intimate act between them. And it wasn't just that, because the video was full of like other things. They unfortunately, they taped everything. They went from like happy birthdays or a birthday party to being on a boat to vacationing, and then them having an intimate act. Now, for some reason, we were all under the impression, because again, we know these people as rock stars. Tommy has been notorious and notorious for being a Lothario, banged everything in sight, groupies, fans, anything. It was a full life of debauchery, and had full access to just any hot chick that he wanted, just because of the sheer fact that he was a rock star. And he lived it up. Like, he lived up to that title. And also, side note, I want to just make a point. You don't have to watch these two things together, but it gives you more of an understanding of who Tommy. And again, remember, these are fictionalized accounts. Not everything is by the book, but not for nothing. And people can't complain necessarily about what they're seeing on screen, because a lot of the information that you are being basically shown in this series are accounts that they got from their own autobiography. Okay, The Dirt is Motley Crue's anthology bible of all of their debauchery, all of their addictions, surviving the road, dealing with groupies and fanatics, living a rock star lifestyle. So it's not like these creators are kind of pulling from nowhere. They're taking it from the written word. And even down to the scene, I believe it's episode 2. Hold on a second. Let me get that title. Episode 2 of the series. There are 8 episodes in the show. It's called I Love You, Tommy. And the first episode is just an introduction of what happened. It's called Drilling and Pounding. Boy, is that a huge pun. But we have an introduction of exactly what led up to the theft, because that's what happened. Their intimate tape that he thought he had like safe bolted in this like humongously heavy, like we're talking about like bank property safe that Tommy kept in his basement, while he had maintenance people there, carpenters and electricians, because he wanted to redecorate his bedroom for it to be like a sex palace. He pissed off one of the workers so that he was practically stiffing. I think his name is Rand Gautier. Gautier of all last names. God bless you, honey. I'm sure he got picked on. It's a beautiful last name, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. He pissed him off to the point where he sought revenge, and he stole the safe. Now, he stole the safe with the intention of, he pretty much probably figured out that he had millions stored in there, handguns that Tommy had a collection of, and he would threaten him with constantly, because Tommy had a lot of anger issues. And then that was it. He just thought that he would steal something to the equivalent of what his craft had been, like his workmanship had been there, that Tommy didn't pay him, and then refused to give him back his tools when he ran him out, just because he happened by accidentally run into Pam half naked. Now again, I mean, I don't know, she was young, but honey, I don't want to do a judgment on you, on your life, but if you know there are people working in your house, please put some clothes on. Why are you walking around? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The reason why I say that there are fictional accounts, in the second episode, Tommy, I Love You, Tommy, is our introduction to how these two just got together. It really was something so random, and not for nothing. I will say about Miss Pamela Anderson, a lot of people kind of put her in this like category of, yes, she was a sex goddess and very beautiful. very marketable, and did a number of, risque things, movies and film and publication. But she wasn't dumb. She was not dumb. Perhaps you can maybe even equate her to the Cardi B of her day, because she did use her noggin. She had a restaurant of her own that she ran. She knew that she had this popularity of Baywatch. So what better way to make even more money for yourself is to have a restaurant and club. So this is where we see the introduction of Miss Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. Tommy just happened to be at this club. She's the owner. I think it was like New Year's, and she was already dealing with a bad breakup, and she sends all her, what do they call, bottle service girls to provide shots for all of the guests. He thought it was a personalized thing for him. And then he's like, who sent this? And he looks over, and it's Pammy having a good old time with her girlfriends, and he beelines for her. Like, he totally forgets about the girl that poor girl. He totally forgot that he was making out with her, and just went over to her table, licked her face from from, I believe, her chin all the way up to close to her temple. And she just did this with all her girlfriends. She thought he was funny and charming. And I can understand why. We'll get into that later. That he follows her. She had like a work trip that she had to do soon after, and she took her girlfriends to Cancun. He follows her out there. And do we know that they're going to have like a 4-day romp of and they don't even necessarily like make love. He follows her out there, and perhaps even introduced her to E. And so they're just kind of, playing curiosity with each other, finding other ways to satisfy each other, but not necessarily go all the way. And they're both so either high on E or high on love that this is the fictional account. And this is, again, taken from the written word. This has sparked my curiosity, so I have researched a number of other things and other interviews with Tommy Lee. And I didn't know he had a book out that he released soon after. I think the group released The Dirt. He had his own book out about his sexual escapades, where there's a conversation where he's having with his penis. And then so they inserted this into this particular episode, and of all people to voice his penis, okay, they get, of all people, the voice that is just I'm sorry, I love him in Big Mouth. Jason Montezukis, if I'm getting that I'm pronouncing that correctly. Come on, and you know his character from Big Mouth and his obsession with pillows. I'll just leave it at that. So for him to be the voice for Tommy's penis, and how he's like, oh man, you just got divorced from Heather, what are you doing? And he's like, I think I'm in love. And he's having a whole full-fledged conversation with the penis. The penis even walks and, picks himself up, talks to him, like he's just like they're chatting it up. They're chopping it up like two bros, and it's him and his but over nothing, it's like an arm down there. I will say, honey, you were blessed in that department, and if you really know what you're doing, honey, oh, okay, I understand that portion of why so many people were like, so many women were like, became soon stalkers of him. But not for nothing too. Again, this show sparks curiosity where you want to know more. You're intrigued, and now you're like, who were these people? And I always had an idea of who they were, but I was a kid when they came out there. I was like in grammar school when they were like in their 20s. I mean, these people are now in their 60s, which, I mean, not for nothing, they still look decent. I'll give them that, even regardless of how hard they led their lives, all four of them. But it just sends you in a spiral, and you start looking stuff up. And, aside from the fact that Tommy is an incredibly skilled drummer, he's a pianist too. Like, I didn't know Home Sweet Home, the intro and the outro, is played by him. I'm like, yo, like, they were bound to make it, honestly. I think they were really, Motley Crue was a really talented, and they weren't, I mean, I don't necessarily think that they liked that they all kind of lumped them all together and called them like hair bands, because yeah, they were known, they were notorious for those big old poof, spiked, hairdos that they had back in the day. But there were so much more there. The lyrics were there with Nikki Sixx. Vince Neil was a great frontman, and honestly, you really have to have a knack for that. You can't just stand up there and just say a bunch of stuff and sing. You need to have showmanship.